Hi, friends. So I for real was not going to make a video today. I was going to enjoy my day off. I was going to go to bed early. I was going to sleep off my migraine. But no, of course not, because shenanigans went down. So I feel that when shenanigans have been had, it is time to sit and talk about it. Because if I just sat here and let it cook for a while, let the tea steep, as the kids are saying these days, I would be so mad by the end of the week. I would not be able to function. And I'm already way too aggressive to get through the day. So we're going to have a conversation, a calm adult conversation. Okay. And we need to discuss personal worth because, hi, Jamie, because I think that this is a very important thing that we need to discuss, because I got some messages today. Also, people were telling me that my walls were too dark. I bought stickers. Is this better? Does this improve the situation? Probably not, but it makes me feel better. I also found chakra candles at the Dollar Tree, and I bought a bunch, and I have none of them lit. My room smells like cinnamon rolls. No regrets. Okay. So I got some messages from this guy. We're going to call him Dylan. I'm not going to say where the messages came from because I don't want to give away his information, even though we are not friends. So I have on many of my social medias that I am a Christian. I don't hide that. I don't advertise. Oh, since everybody wants to comment on the lip smacking thing, yeah, get over it. So I have on many of my social media platforms that I am a Christian. I don't hide it. I don't advertise it. It's just not the most important thing in the world. I don't feel like personal belief systems are the most important thing that needs to be discussed. I don't find that my diet is the most important thing that needs to be discussed. I don't find that the car I drive or the area I live in is there's more important things in the world. And I don't find that personal belief systems are the most important to discuss. But this guy, okay. He said, how goes it? Wouldn't have pegged you as a Christian. Nice surprise. And he was talking about dating and casual fun is gross and directionless. Directionless. I'm gonna Google that. It's for the birds, really, he says. I said it goes. I get that a lot, actually. Christians usually assume I'm agnostic or whatever because of the hair, tattoos, piercings. But I actually grew up in church, and even though I haven't found one out here, it's still really important to me. All of this is true. This is where things went sideways very quickly. I feel like if somebody is trying to get my attention, trying to strike up a conversation, you should maybe choose what you say a little bit carefully, because you really don't know that person and you don't want to say anything that's going to get on their nerves, you know what I mean? Or instantly make them defensive or anything like that. So he said, oh, so you're a good girl. Hi, y'all, I'm about to get age gated. YouTube's about to kick me off. High mileage used up sluts are pretty nasty to me since I have self-esteem and whatnot. So I instantly became defensive because that is a disgusting thing to say. And I said, that's a pretty judgmental thing to say. I mean, I get where you're coming from, but high mileage sluts, really? And he said, well, I mean, girl, and please let me know if anybody actually knows somebody like this, because I personally don't. I know many people from many walks of life, and I don't know a single person who acts this way. He said, well, I mean, girls that actively celebrate defiling their bodies for lustful, short-sighted hedonism and destroy their value as future wives and mothers. yet complain in their 40s about why no men want to marry them and wonder why they are alone. This is coming from a guy who claims to be a Christian. A guy who should know that Jesus was flipping tables and hanging out with hookers. So I'm a little confused as to where his thought process came from. Where is your mother? Who put these thoughts into your head? Who is responsible for this? Because we need to talk. I said, I don't think I understand. It's like saying someone who made mistakes in high school but learned from them in their 20s has no value in their 30s. I don't see past choices as taking away from the value of a person. I also don't see people being less than because things happened that wasn't their choice. I wasn't trying to like go into detail, but you know what I'm saying. I said Jesus himself had followers that were actual prostitutes. Mary Magdalene was a repentant prostitute and one of his most loyal followers. He didn't say she had less value because of what she did, so why should anyone pass judgment on what someone else does? So I'm thinking he's going to reel back and he's going to sit here and say, you're right. Oh, dang. But it sounds like he's just one of those people that assumes, and he's 30, by the way, one of those people that just assumes that there's a large group of individuals who didn't go to prom, who didn't do the normal like high school thing. I didn't do the normal high school thing because I was homeschooled, but I'm not a part of this group that he wants me to be a part of. And that's just how it is. It's not anything that I feel that I personally did wrong. I have talked openly about unfortunate circumstances of assault, unfortunate circumstances of abuse. And it's not something that I openly advertise, but it's also not something that I hide because I know that this is a thing that unfortunately many people go through, many people experience. And instead of the church being the people who are going to sit there and say, it's okay, you're valued, you're loved, you're still a human being, you're still worth it. We got people like this guy just ruining it for everybody. He is the raisins in my cookie. It's awful. Just why? And then it got worse. It somehow got worse. He said, number of sexual partners and likelihood of divorce are strongly correlated. Some girls I really do feel sorry for if they were duped by promotions of decadent lifestyles when they were younger. Like, what does that even mean? Okay. Although some are more brazen in thinking it isn't a problem, either way, that's not a setup you want to marry. That's not a setup you want to make. What does that even mean? I got questions. And then as I'm typing this really long response just to like put him in his place right fast, he sent, plus if you're y'all, I'm going to get real close because this is real important. Listen closely. Plus, if you're a high status person, you can afford new, so to speak. New house, new car, new pure girl, etc. New house, new car, new pure girl. Really? Really? Your status as a person determines the worth and value of another human being that you feel you deserve to be with because of your own personal life choices. Like, how twisted is your thought process at that point? To which I replied. And he hasn't said anything back, which is just tops. I'm sitting here waiting, but I don't think he will. So I screenshotted everything just in case. So I said, I can respect that you're solid in what you believe, but it seems like you aren't open to understanding. Maybe you don't have a lot of personal experience out in different areas of the world. I don't know. But I think the world needs less judgment from so-called Christians and more people who will listen, understand, and minister to their needs. I've been in several relationships since I was 18. I was even engaged to a virgin at one point. We broke up because baseball was more important. It had nothing to do with partner numbers. I went to church camp when I was 19 and was told that if you're not pure, you're not good enough. That really bothered some people because they were saying if you were raped, you're garbage. If you were molested, you're garbage. And that's a disgusting mindset. It's really damaging to tell someone that they aren't worthy of love because of things they can't change. If you honestly believe that status determines what kind of person you'll end up with, you don't deserve my time. Oh, I love how my watch just cheered me on. Like, good job, Jess. And that was the end of the conversation. And I really hope that is the end of the conversation because I feel like, and my phone's about to die anyhow. I feel like when people are, and I get it. I get that different people are brought up different ways, but I also, I also am from this understanding of sorts, maybe because of how I grew up. I don't know. You can change your beliefs. You can change your thought processes. And although I'm not the kind of Christian to sit there and be like, let's all gather around the baptismal pool and sing Hillsong and bring out the smoke and lights and put on a big show about it. Like, that's not my jam. But I'm also not the kind of Bible thumping person that believes, oh, well, if you did things, if you did adult activities, you're not worthy of being, a wife or a mother or whatever. This guy was just spouting information that made literally no sense. It wasn't even information. It was like his personal opinion about the kind of people that he feels he deserves, I guess. Kids these days, to the best of my knowledge, are having intimate relationships at younger and younger ages. Kids these days are more exposed than ever to the differences in gender identity, in sexual identity, in orientation, however you want to put it. And so kids these days at younger and younger ages are more aware of who they are as a person, if they're gay, if they're straight, if they're bi, if they're trans, if they're something else that I maybe don't understand. At a younger age, because it's more talked about, it's more respected as being part of someone's identity, part of who they are as a human being, than it has at any other point in time. And so I was watching the bonus video from Phil DeFranco this morning, and he was talking about, I'm going to mispronounce his name. Hold on. Let me pull it up. Because I don't want to sit here and be like, that boy, because like he has a name, you know what I'm saying? Jamel Miles. That was his name. Jamel Miles was a 9-year-old boy who came out to his mom as being gay. And apparently he, was really proud of himself that he had finally been able to say, hey, mom, guess what? And he started wearing fake nails. And it was 4 days later or something like that. He was being bullied so hard at school. He was gung-ho about telling all the kids, y'all, guess what? This is who I am as a human being. I'm so excited to be me and live my life and whatever else. But this kid, 4 days later, ended up taking his own life at 9 years old because he was told by all these awful little children that he was not worthy, that he should go and remove himself from existence because of who he is as a human being. The things that Dylan sent me, in my mind, are no different. Because it's somebody saying you're not worthy, you're not good enough, you shouldn't be here because of who you are as a person. And I understand that there is a huge difference between the two, but it's the same level of narcissistic bullying is just coming from an adult human instead of a bunch of little kids. We need to collectively, as a society, instead of sitting here and passing judgment on people for living their life, for being who they are. And this is coming from somebody who grew up in a church that taught you to hate gay people, that taught you that everybody was going to hell no matter what. We need to remove that disgusting ideology because that's not working. How's that working out for you? Is it good? Is it helping you in the day-to-day? Is it working for you? Take that mindset just completely out of the picture and instead focus on the fact that this is a human being with a life, with a soul, with value. I mean, maybe you don't have to believe in the soul part. It's good, whatever. From my perspective, this is a soul, stardust, if you will, packed tightly into a neat little box. Okay. Inside of a skeleton, inside of organs and blood. And honestly, if you take away our skin, we all look the same. Okay, so what is the point? Stardust flying through space on a rock, circling molten lava. That is humanity. That is what we are. We are no different than the person down the street, the person across the world. We are all human beings. We are all experiencing life. To sit here and say that one person is less than another because of who they are is disgusting. It doesn't matter if it's because they're gay, if they're straight, if they're bi, if they're trans, if they're Christian, if they're Muslim, if they're atheist, if they're Jewish, if they're Hindu, whatever. To pass so much judgment on another person, to me, it's like unthinkable, honestly. It's just mind-blowing, honestly. Blows my mind that there are people out there that actually think that the way that somebody else is, or the way that somebody else even lives their life, maybe because they drive an old 1997 Honda Civic and it's 2018 and they're still driving the same car from 97. Oh, well, that person must be broke. I have a higher status in life, so I deserve more. No, you don't. You deserve to be humbled in some type of way, have your money taken away from you, have your status taken away from you. This guy said he was had his pilot's license or something. Have your pilot's license taken away from you. Have your ability to do the things that you love in life taken away from you so that you can learn to appreciate and respect other walks of life. Just because you might have been born with a silver spoon in your mouth does not mean that I was. Does not mean that anybody else was. Does not mean that you are going to find that perfect little Christian virgin girl that you're looking for, which, by the way, out of context sounds really creepy, that you're looking for a perfect little Christian virgin girl. You might want to hit up a fundamental Baptist middle school, because that's what it sounds like you're looking for. Okay? I can pretty much guarantee that church kids are some of the worst kids. And this has been confirmed with many a PK, which is a pastor's kid. There's also, in my case, I was how do I word this exactly? So my great-grandfather was a traveling minister. He was a Pentecostal traveling minister. My dad was in a worship band. My grandma was my Sunday school teacher. I was brought up in Church of Christ, Pentecostal. I was expected to take, even at 6 years old, I was expected to take some kind of leadership position in the church, assuming we never moved to Illinois. Asterisk on that one. My grandma had this plan for my dad that he was going to be in the worship band, that he was going to be a music minister, that he, had such a talent, he was going to use it for God and whatever. But he didn't do that. He ran off and knocked up his 15-year-old girlfriend. They had 2 kids, had a shotgun wedding, got divorced. He married my mom. Cool. So since that all happened with my dad, she then shifted everything to where it was now going to be the grandkids that were going to take up the leadership in the church, which my family wasn't even the pastor of the church. It was some other guy that I've, like, I don't even know if he's still alive, but I've literally known him since I was knee-high to a grasshopper. This other guy is not related, but my family, my great-grandparents, my grandma, my dad, were all in such like high ranking, I guess, in this particular church that it was just kind of assumed that all the kids, all the cousins, I'm about to go get a picture. Hold on, y'all, just hold on for a minute. Oof. You know it's going down when I got to get the pictures. Okay. Welcome back. So I have in this here book a picture. This picture, right? This is from Vacation Bible School 1993. It's me, by the way. Hi. This has the church name on the back. Okay. I've literally been going to this church, had been going to this church my whole life up until the point that we moved to Illinois, which was during the 96 Olympics. It was that week because my mom was scared to drive through Atlanta. I know that for a fact. Okay, so 3 years old, all right? This is a family picture from the anniversary of my great-grandparents, and the party was held at the church. Okay, I was about 5. Okay, 5. Does this count as minors being on my channel? I don't think it does. I was 5. Okay, still at the church. And then there's one in particular I'm looking for, and I know exactly which one I'm looking for, and I'm gonna get super excited when I find it. I actually recently filled this photo album. So excuse me a minute because it's going to take a minute. I think it's in with all the pictures that I stole from my mom. She had like this basket. Found it. She had this like basket of pictures. And I just rifled through them one day and took a bunch. So this is actually from the same anniversary party because I'm wearing the exact same purple sweatsuit. It was a Cinderella sweatsuit. And I had my baby doll. My little baby doll. But this is a picture. If any of my family members ever find my channel, they are going to like hit me with a bus. It's going to go down. Anywho, this is a picture from the exact same party. Okay. Right there is my papa, who was my great-grandfather. I'm sorry for everybody. I just hit the crap out of my microphone again. So my papa, right there, me, my cousin, that person, my cousin, probably like 2 more cousins right there, my cousin, my cousins. This was in our Sunday school room. This was my grandma's Sunday school room. We were trying to get a picture together with like Papa and all the cousins, Nanny and Papa and all the cousins and everything else. Same church, same party, same day, same very large cousin-filled Floridian family. We were just expected to always go to church because that was what my family did. And so when my immediate family, when we, all of us here, moved from Florida to Illinois and we started going to a Baptist church, my mom was very supportive. My dad didn't care. My grandma basically disowned me at the age of 14 when I told her that I was baptized into the Baptist church. And she's like, but you belong to the church of God. Blah, 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 blah. Whatever. She tried to tell me at 14 that my value as a Christian was determined by what church I chose to be baptized into which is not relevant. Okay. Jesus wasn't like, so, hey, y'all, real quick, just wanted to let you know, if you're Catholic, it counts. If you're Baptist, it doesn't. That is nowhere in the Bible. That is nowhere. That didn't come out of his face. If it did, it wasn't recorded, so we don't actually know, but I am telling you, that is not correct. Because according to the Bible, just like twist up memes real fast. I have many pictures from this church. We were expected to be Sunday school teachers, be worship leaders, I don't think Pentecostals necessarily believe in women ministers as a whole. I think it's a church by church kind of jam. I know for a fact Baptists don't, because that's not a thing. Girls can be Sunday school teachers. They can be piano players. They can be nursery workers, bus workers, play piano, play organ. Preaching is not one of those things. His cousin was John the Baptist, but his name was John the Baptist because he dunked people. I don't think it was because he was actually Baptist in the way that we know Baptists now. I've been watching a lot of videos on like Catholic history, and it seems to me that Jesus, the Jew, may have established, be it purpose or accident, the very, very beginnings of what is now the Catholic Church. I'm going to get in so much trouble for saying that. Maybe. I'm still a little confused on that because Jesus was by heritage, I think, Jewish, because he observed Jewish holidays. But he also said that Peter was the rock and Peter was the first pope. And I'm just questioning if maybe that's how things worked out. I don't know for sure. I have questions. I'm seeking answers. That's why I don't necessarily identify as being a Baptist anymore. I identify as just being a Christian. I don't label based on denominations because denominations are for dorks. It's not for everyone. If you try to say that your denomination is the only denomination like my grandma does, it is incorrect. Okay. That's not how it works. That's not how it works at all. Okay. The moral of the story is this guy is a lame because he basically sat here and told me, for those of you who are jumping in late, this guy messaged me and told me that because he's a Christian, because he has a certain status in life, that he deserves a certain type of girl, that he deserves a good, pure, virgin girl. The reality of our society, of where it's at right now, is that those are very rare things to find in a person, and that's okay. It's totally fine. The point that I want to make, because goodness knows if you came to one of my videos, the point won't be made until the end. So just get some popcorn, make a snack. Okay. That just sounds real good. The point is your value, your worth as a person, you right there watching. Hi, how are you? How was your day? Mine sucked. Okay. Your value as a human being is not determined, first of all, by your religion. Second of all, by how you choose to live your life. Thirdly, by the amount of partners you choose to have, not have, by things that happen to you, by choices that were made by other people that were unfortunately placed upon you. Those things are not relevant. Your worth, just according to me, because obviously I'm the most relevant person, the way that I determine the worth of another human being is Are you a good person? Are you a bad person? Are you someone who looks to help others? Are you someone who, you know, seeks to improve the world around them? Are you somebody who is active in your community? Are you someone who is active in supporting online communities? If you're the kind of person who doesn't like to go out in public, hi, how are you? Are you somebody who is just a good person? Or are you somebody who like kicks puppies? Like, that's not a good person. That's a bad person. Are you somebody who seeks to harm others? Are you someone who literally goes out of their way to be a threat to other humans? Are you somebody who consistently knows what is wrong and chooses to do what is wrong? I find that there are gray areas. I have a brother who was raised by his mom, and she is not a nice person. And he believes that is, or he did believe that that was just all the fact in the world, was whatever his mom would tell him. And he blames a lot of his behavior on my dad not being there, not realizing that my dad wasn't allowed to be there. It was a whole thing. Maybe one day I'll tell the story, or I'll just interview my dad for it, because that's his story to tell, not mine. But he chose to get himself into trouble. He chose to stay in trouble. No matter what he did, he chose to grow up in trouble, basically. And I've spoken to him a few times on the phone. We reconnected through Facebook. And even now, it doesn't seem like he's doing everything he can to make the best choices for himself. But I feel like, given enough positive influence, he would make good choices for himself. He just maybe hasn't had good influences to propel him in that direction. I'm trying real hard to pick my words real careful. I know people are like, you talk too slow. The process of forming words and syllables in my brain doesn't always just smoothly sail down to my face, and it doesn't always come out as eloquently as I would like it to. So chill out. Take a seat, Linda. Make a snack, okay? It's going to be a minute, all right? I feel like there are people who, given enough positive influence in their life, would feel like making good choices is okay, would feel like it's all right to screw up now and then, but it's also okay to ask for forgiveness. It's also okay to ask for help. It's okay to be a person. But there's a lot of people who grow up in situations where they get themselves into trouble or whatever, and they kind of stay in that bubble because everyone around them is encouraging them to do wrong, do bad things. And so it just continues to be a snowball effect. I do not believe that my brother isn't just an inherently bad person, because I do see a lot of potential in him. I have drank so much Coke today and I'm very burpy. I'm so sorry. I just think that he hasn't, like, that part of him hasn't been nurtured, has not been encouraged. And so he struggles with that. There is a very blatant line between someone who is a very good, happy, positive human being and somebody who is a very bad, negative, just embodiment of suck. Okay, there's a big difference. And then somewhere in the middle is the majority of people, I being one of them. It's very questionable for some people who have been on my channel for a little while as to what kind of human being I am. And some people would say, oh, well, you actively sought to hurt another person. You actively chose to do these things. You actively made the choice to be a bad person or whatever. But I also think that it comes with context. Context matters. I want that on a shirt. Context matters. I think it's important to realize that the worth of a human being, first of all, is not something to be determined by other human beings. I think that it's really messed up to sit here and say, well, this person is worth my time because they live the way that I want them to. I think that's messed up. I think it's important to realize, until somebody does you real dirty, that everyone has value, that everyone is worthy of love, that everyone is capable of love, that everyone is, we're all riding on this rock together. All right. So let's just embrace it for what it is. We're all just flesh bags on a rock through space. That's all we are. It's just all we are. It's really depressing when you think of it that way, but that's exactly what it is. I do not want to have another conversation like this, but I feel like I probably will. Oh, Lucky messaged me. Let's read it together, fam. So, let's literally just sit here and read it together because he sent me a novel. Buckle up, kids. He said, I'm certainly not saying people aren't worthy of love because of things they can't change. Quite the contrary. I'm saying their chances of love are highly unlikely, given that they did wrong, whether they regret it or not. Their chances of love are highly unlikely, given things that they did wrong, whether they regret it or not. That wasn't even the full message. Y'all! I had to get a beverage. I was feeling kind of salty. Let's continue. Would you prefer more judgment of... I'm a little confused. He said, would you prefer more judgment of Muslims over the world? If you think my positions are stringent, yeah. College-educated man marries college-educated woman. High school-educated man marries high school-educated woman. That formula worked quite successfully for centuries until the decadent 1960s pushed this idea that successful men of high worth and virtue needed to be marrying low-class thoughts, and that characters like Vivian Ward are remotely realistic. First of all, who even is that? I am not familiar with whoever Vivian is, but given that this guy is the most judgmental, I'm gonna guess she's a peach, okay? I don't even know how to process those words in a manner that makes me seem like a civilized human, because I have many questions. What is happening in my chat right now? You have a project on autism and found this video. It's perfect. What does that mean? What does that mean exactly? Because if you came to this video to do a report on autism, this video and autism are not related, unless you're saying that because I live with a mental illness, it's the same thing, because it's not. So maybe you need to go back to class to understand what autism is before you come on my channel and start talking about it. Or read a book. That would be helpful. Education is helpful. Is this BuzzFeed? So typically kids these days start learning how to recognize letters in preschool. And I find that kids as young as 6 typically know how to read at least a little bit. So maybe you should visit with a preschool class, learn to identify letters a little bit better, learn to read a little bit better, because I find that that's really, really helpful in determining what a channel is when you read the title or you read the channel name. Sometimes there's a video description. I find that those are helpful sometimes. I don't fill mine out because I don't want to. So take up one of those things. Please don't feed the trolls. I'm a very, very, very salty person today. I feel like people like this Dylan kid, I feel like they're just the kind of people that believe that because they were born into a certain demographic, straight white male, in case you were wondering, because people like him are born into a certain demographic, they deserve higher, they deserve better, they deserve more. And that is not helpful either. That is not something that is going to do the world any good. This dangerous mindset of, oh, because I was born into an upper middle class area with a nice house that had 2 stories and 2-car garage and all this other, is pointless. That mindset is pointless. It doesn't mean anything. Like, you could be born into the best situation ever and still end up doing nothing with your life. Or you could do like what my little brother did. He chose to not do his schoolwork as a kid and admitted to us when he was 19 that he didn't know how to read. And the last time I talked to my mom, she said that he's actually working for Microsoft now. Like, I have a college education. I'm not working for Microsoft. I work in retail. Okay. Also, this idea that Dylan has of college educated man marries college educated woman and high school educated man marries high school educated woman is not correct, because my dad, I think, got his GED and my mom went to college and they're married and they've been married for almost 30 years. So suck a lemon. All right. Because that's not relevant. All right. My mom, in this case, if he's correct about everything, would actually deserve someone better than my dad. But my dad has always been hardworking. He's always had decent paying jobs. He's always been able to provide for his family. I don't find that the education of a man or the education of a woman determines the value in somebody's relationship, the value in somebody's marriage, or how well you're going to raise kids, or the kind of house you're going to live in, because we don't have any way of knowing those things. It's taking life circumstances and trying to project this formula saying, oh, well, if you were born into poverty, you're always going to be in poverty. So good luck with that one. Like, there's no hope for anybody who's born under the radar of the rest of society. Meanwhile, there's like people out there who have built up companies from literal nothing and been able to go on to do amazing things. And also, he's saying man marries woman, man marries woman. That is not always the case. Sometimes man marries man. Sometimes woman marries woman. Sometimes individual marries bridge. It's just how things are. It's not relevant. Y'all need Jesus. What is wrong with you? I'm going to just... So... I did block them because I don't have time for that. I don't. My hair has gotten just out of control. All right, see? There you go. A woman who's married to a woman. Yes, I think that it's just jacked that we had to wait until, like, what, 2015 for it to be legal everywhere? Like, honestly, though, why? Why were we waiting so long? According to Dylan, it was the decadent 60s that brought upon all of this change and made things so difficult for the rest of us. Honestly, though, what is happening in the world where people still think this way? I have questions. See, I don't like to block people, report people, or anything like that on my channel. I do believe that people are allowed to have their opinions and free speech and things like that. But when you're sitting here and you're saying just trollish, disgusting things, I just don't have the time. So I would like to now open the floor for questions about self-worth. I would like to open the floor to questions about literally anything, because I don't care. I'm just waiting for the washer to get done at this point. But I was just mad. I was mad about things. Jamie, no, I didn't see the message that you left on my last stream. I really haven't been reading the messages or anything like that because I feel like a lot of them are still very negative, very hateful, in relation to the trio of things that happened with a certain with a certain place and a certain someone talking about that place. In case you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm not going to talk about it because people just assume I'm riding coattails. Does anybody even have coattails anymore? Do we even still have coats with tails? And who is selling them? Do they come on like tuxedos? Also, who is still wearing actual tuxedos? I have many questions. Many questions. It's almost 11 o'clock at night. I shouldn't be drinking Coke. Honestly, I shouldn't. But I'm just... It's the only thing that brings me joy these days. And it's probably why I gained like 4 pounds. All right. Alicia or Alicia? Do you think everyone has an evil side that just takes the right time to come to the surface? I don't know. Okay, so when I was first diagnosed and was super drugged up, I really didn't sleep a whole lot. And so I watched an uncomfortable amount of Investigation Discovery. And there was a lot of like killer couples. There was a lot of like Snapped. And my mom was getting a little concerned with the amount of Investigation Discovery that I was watching. But I watched so much of it that I came to this very strange conclusion that I don't necessarily think that every person is evil or has evil in them. But I do think given certain circumstances, people will retaliate against things, or people will do wrong based on influence. Because that was another thing I saw, was there was a lot of kids and teens who would do stupid things based on influence from outside sources, be it other friends, be it movies, video games, grandma said no to cookies for dinner. I don't know, just lots of things. I don't think that people, so like Meg just said, I think you have to be born with a screw loose to kill someone. I don't, because I feel like in self-defense, you don't necessarily have to have a screw loose to defend yourself and like accidentally do that or something like that. I think that, again, it's a gray area kind of thing. I think if you are someone who just has this feel inside of your gut holes that you just, this is something you need to do and you need to harm another. What am I stepping? It's my cord. You have this feeling that you need to do wrong and you need to go harm another person and this and this and that. I feel like that is something that you should definitely talk to somebody about for sure. I feel like that is something that is not, I don't like to use the word normal because like, what is that? I feel like that is something that is not an average behavior, something that is not experienced by an average person, and therefore is something that should be looked into. I do think things like that are preventable unless your 5-year-old is chasing you with a hatchet, in which case just duct tape them to a wall, call the cops. Like, obviously you can't get through this by yourself. You're going to need some outside help. I do think that that's kind of, it's one of those like weird gray areas, but it's also not for me to sit here and judge people and be like, every person has a little sprinkle of nope inside of them. And I think everybody should check their nope every once in a while, because that's just not how it works. Let me zoom back up because there was some other stuff. A lot of people saying my hair is cute. I have had my hair thrown up. I did it in the car. And then I took these little flop pieces and I had them back here. And then I went to Taco Bell and then the wind blew. So this is what we're working with right now. I can't get a messy bun appropriate for work, but I can get a little anime character thing going on. So that's fun. We got married. Is it Zoe or Zoe? Because I never know. We got married in May this year in Washington. Congratulations. That's super exciting. When is your anniversary? Because I would like to celebrate milestones with you guys. I think that's super dope. Was it the 19th? Because my parents were married on May 19th, 1989. And 9 months later, hi world. I was the gift. You're all welcome. Let's see. How do you feel about LGBTQ adding the P for First of all, that's not a thing and we can fight about it. I respect gays even though I am straight, but this has gone too far. Leave the children alone. Y'all don't want my channel to ever get monetized. You don't, because you ask me questions like this. Okay. Gather around, adults. Let's have a conversation. First of all, pedosexual is not a thing. I'm gonna just call it the way I see it. It's not a thing, okay? Pedophilia is disgusting. It is a threat to children. It is even more of a threat when people act on it. I understand that there are people who are attracted to certain things, and kind of how the church sees it, that, you know, a gay person can be attracted to men, but it's only wrong if they act on it, right? Taking that kind of mindset is how I feel about the whole pedo situation. If that is what you're going through, I definitely think like that is something that's worth, you know, talking to a therapist about, maybe trying to find healthy ways to express yourself. And I think opening up to healthy ways of expressing yourself is fine. But I think if you are someone who is experiencing that, then you need to seek help, because that's not something that two consenting adults can partake in the way that the rest of the LGBTQ community advocates for. And I do think that it is totally fine for, you know, kids, teens, young adults, whatever, to be open about their orientation. And for maybe at the age of 16, depending on the maturity of the person, to enter into consensual dating relationships. I don't know. I was never allowed to date. I did it because I'm a rebel. All right. I did it because I'm a rebel, but I waited until I was 18 because I was so scared of, like, if I dated somebody, like, let's say I was like 16 or 17 and I dated literally anyone. They could have been like 104. I was still somehow going to get in trouble because I was still underage. Homeschooling warps the mind. I'm telling you. So I waited until I was 18, almost 19 before I ever entered a relationship because I was so scared of getting in trouble. I think the LGBTQ plus community is a very open, very understanding, very loving place. But the line is drawn for sure Because that is an adult and a child, an underage child that maybe doesn't fully understand everything that's going on. Like, I don't feel like a 12-year-old can enter into a relationship and fully understand everything that goes along with that. Like middle school crushes, you know, stuff like that. That's like one thing. But I think that a kid isn't going to understand the advances of an adult, isn't going to understand the repercussions of that. And that is why most states have like an age limit to these things. It's for a reason. I feel like that is entirely different than being gay or being trans or being bi or anything like that. I feel, and I could be wrong because I'm not a part of the community, so please correct me if I am incorrect. I feel like the reason that the LGBTQ plus community became such a thing is because straight people are just kind of like in a group of their own. We don't really advertise it as being a thing, but people needed a place to feel safe. People needed a place to express themselves. And so they created a community, which has been great. I went to Pride in North Carolina last year. It was amazing. It was so much fun. There was glitter everywhere. There was rainbows everywhere. There was an uncomfortable amount of men walking very comfortably in heels. And I'm sitting here like, I can't even walk in flats correctly. And I was very upset. I'm always upset. Like that group on America's Got Talent, those guys that they dance in like stilettos. I can't even put on stilettos. Like I can't even stand up. I look like Bambi on ice. I cannot even stand up in that stuff. So for them, more power to you. I think it's great. I think it's a great self-expressive kind of jam. But I don't think it's appropriate to add pedos into that, because then if you're going to do that, well, you kind of have to, like, everybody can just claim, oh, well, this is my orientation. It's not assault. It's not molestation or anything like that. It's my orientation. That is not correct either. I feel like that is not, no, just no. Absolutely no. 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 I don't have any other words. No. All right. Yeah, I can't imagine that the LGBT community is going to add that. I think they want that added, but they don't go together. All right. They just don't. All right. It's like, has anybody had the pickle fried chicken from KFC? I feel like that's also two things that don't go together. There's already a lobbyist in the Democratic Party advocating for it. I don't politics as a whole. I don't politics. I do vote, but I don't politics. If there's one thing I will not talk about on my channel, it is politics. Because I simply do not understand it to the full extent of most adults. I don't get it. It's weird. It's confusing. It makes people upset. It hurts people's feelings. But I'll talk about God. Because I don't mind hurting a few people's feelings. And I'll talk about controversial refills because it'll hurt a few people's feelings. But I can understand those things. I don't understand politics, so I just don't get involved. Gays have opened Pandora's box for acceptance. And they said, born this way. And now pedos are saying they're born this way, deserve rights like gays. No. They don't deserve the right to abuse children. End of story. Yes. Yes, louder for the people in the back. Louder for the makeup in the closet. May 17th. Yay! Oh my gosh. Hold on. I'm just getting up so much today. I need a pen. I want to write stuff down. Why don't I have any pens? That's sad. I have an entire room full of things, but no pens. I had like planner stuff somewhere that had pens. I need a pen. I need a pen, a writing utensil of some sort. Universe, pen me. That's not it. Universe, you're failing me. I just asked for a pen. One pen. One. Just one. Just one. One pen. I'm like calling out to the universe for a pen. Why are you guys even here? Who is watching this right now? Honestly. Aha! Pens! I found one. All right. So, I'm going to write that down because I want to remember what people are doing so that I can like send you guys messages, or if you send me your address, I can send you like a card, like a birthday card. I was thinking that would just be super dope to get like a pen pal kind of birthday card because nobody's doing that like at all. And I just think that's the dopest thing. So this is going to be where I keep all of the information. Let's see. I'm sitting on my foot all weird. The gays have lobbied for children to use hormone blockers. They are becoming trans before they even finish puberty. That is child abuse. I don't necessarily see it as being child abuse. I have somewhat kept up with Jazz Jennings' story because I think it's really interesting that she knew at such a young age that she was not a boy, that she was a she. And so I have kind of kept up with it over the years, not like super intently, didn't watch the show. I watched like 2 episodes of it, but was like, this is just not for me. But I know she recently had surgery, corrective surgery, and that she's like doing well from it. I think that's super dope. I think she's a great advocate for trans kids. I understand that people in the community, they want to make this resource available to kids. I do think that there can be health problems if you start them too young, which is why doctors start them when doctors choose to start them. I'm not a doctor, clearly. But I do think that it is important to have the resource available to kids. I think it's also up to the parents to talk with their child and talk with the doctors and come up with a treatment plan that's individualized to the growth and development of the individual child. I don't necessarily think that that is child abuse in really any form. I think that it really is like a case-by-case kind of thing. I think if you were spoon feeding hormone blockers to your child at the age of like 6 months, that might be a problem. If you were buying syringes on the black market to inject your child, that is definitely a problem. But I don't think having medical resources available for the parents, the child, and the doctor to all work together to come up with a treatment plan, I don't think that having that available is child abuse. I don't think that that's giving your child the best opportunity to be themselves is not the same as pushing them down a flight of stairs. What is your opinion on love at first sight? So, My opinion on love as a whole is a big old nope. I don't believe that, and this is just me being an absolute narcissist. I don't believe that humans are capable of the kind of love that they pretend that they are. I think that a lot of it is created by like Hallmark and Disney and whatever to kind of perpetuate this idea of there being this like grand love that we all get to have. But the reality is that that's not a thing. I don't believe that, for me personally, that I've ever experienced love at first sight. Don't think I will, except in the case of tacos. That my parents always told me the story that they met in a grocery store. My dad, who was a b-boy in the 80s, had bright orange hair, and my mom was babysitting for like a neighbor or somebody, and she was like pushing this little baby child around the grocery store, and they met up, and he asked her, "Is that your kid?" And she said no, and he said, "You should call me." Meanwhile, he actually had 2 kids already. So I think he was just trying to not be in stepdad territory. But for them, they met at like a Winn-Dixie or something. For them, it absolutely was. And they went through a lot. Their parents did not approve of their relationship. It was very Romeo and Juliet without the murder, suicide, whatever the flip. I don't know. I didn't read it. It was very much one of those type of situations. For me personally, no. Sometimes I feel that way about clothes, and then I try it on and I'm like, this was not built for potatoes. I'm going to put this back. I feel the same way sometimes about makeup, which was also not made for potatoes. And so I usually return it or give it to a friend, because not everything is for every person. How have you kept your faith in a world so cruel? I had to leave the church for quite a while in order to figure out what I believed personally. And what I believe personally is a little convoluted at this point, but I believe in God. I believe in Jesus. I believe in the cross. I believe in the resurrection. I believe in kind of the broad idea of Christianity. I don't believe in the little bits and pieces that man likes to put in. I have like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, I read my Bible every day. I go to church every Sunday, because I don't. I work Sundays. So I can't go to church. It's just not a thing that I can physically do right now, because I can't find a church with an early enough service or like a 6:30 service or something like that. I have always believed in God. I have always believed in kind of the broad idea of Christianity. But there have been many times where I have doubted God. There have been many times where I have sat here and said, I am garbage. I don't deserve the time of day. God hates me. Like I'm a cruel cosmic joke. I'm just something for him to laugh at. I'm just a fun little experiment for him. It's kind of like when you create that one person in The Sims and you let them like just drown in a pool or like die in an outhouse or something. That's what it felt like for me. And honestly, that's what it still does feel like on occasion. And I think the way that I've kind of kept it together in that aspect, because my life is a hot flaming dumpster, is the fact that my faith, my relationship with God is not based anymore on man, and is not based anymore on what man has to say about the situation. I don't know 100% if I fully believe that, God loves me as an individual person, or that I'm worthy of that, because when you think about whatever higher power you believe in if you do, the fact that this all-knowing, I'm throwing things, the fact that this all-knowing, all-seeing, all-present being would know you by name and know everything you're going through and love you and choose to, you know, would still choose to love you knowing that you're maybe not the best person or whatever. It's hard for me to comprehend. So I don't necessarily think I'm the best example of Christianity by far. But I also, I don't really look at other people's faiths because I feel like that was something I did a lot in like my late teens, early 20s. And I compared myself to my friends who were going to Bible college and getting married. I compared myself in my 20s to my friends who were married and having children. Going into my 30s, I am trying my diddliest to not compare myself to other people and not place my worth in their situations, because we are all different and we are all experiencing different things at different times. And so I'm trying to find my own worth in my personal relationship with God and not put it, you know, on, you know, Susan down the street because, you know, she got married right when she turned 18 and had like 12 kids. So yeah, there's that. I don't really base my faith on things happening in the world. I do think it's really hard for some people because they say, well, if there was a God, why would there be so much bad in the world? Why would there be so much evil, so much hate, so much this, so much that? And I think that that's something you kind of have to investigate for yourself and kind of find answers within yourself, rather than actually asking that question out loud, because I feel like you can ask that question to 100 different ministers, preachers, rabbis, fathers, whatever, and you're going to get 100 different answers. I think that's something you really do have to kind of look at inside yourself. And being somebody who grew up in a very, very strict church, someone who grew up abused, someone who was even a year ago still being abused, I never once put my faith in God as being the defining point, like, oh, because I believe in God, all these bad things are happening to me or anything like that. I definitely tried to lean on my faith more when I was in Fayetteville, when I was experiencing the things that I was with Daniel. And I definitely tried to make that a more integrated part of my life, but I found it to be a lot harder because he was my transportation for church and things like that. And I would be really uncomfortable going into the building, and I would be okay for a little bit, maybe like 20 minutes. And then I would be uncomfortable going out and waiting for him and seeing him pull up. Like when I would see him pull up, like my whole stomach would drop. And I just felt like all the peace that I had was gone. I do think that my personal relationships with other people have hindered my relationship with God in the past. For sure. Because I did leave church for, you know, a couple of boyfriends and switched church for a couple of boyfriends. But like I said, I'm trying to find my worth and my faith and everything within myself and not lean on external things, because I have found that when I do lean on external things, they let me down. You can look up the Mars Hill Church situation. You can look up the Basement Church situation, and you can look up the First Baptist Church of Hammond situation. And those three right there, those three will give you a pretty solid idea of why I don't put my faith in people's. Meg said, I saw your video earlier. How are you doing health-wise? So I went to the office. I was going to save this for Friday, but we're already here. I went to the Medicaid office today. I sat there for 2 hours. They told me that it was shut off because a box wasn't checked, but I've had active insurance since like February or March. So it was active and it was fine until August 17th when they were like, instead of them calling and asking or sending a letter saying, hey, we need you to fill this out. They were just like, boop, no doctors for you. So I made sure that it was active. Everything was good. I have a couple of things to update, but they said as of right now, I'm active. I'm good through like next summer, which is awesome. I did go see my primary care doctor today just to talk to them about stopping the medication that I'm on. And they were like, why are you still taking it if it's obviously being a problem? And so I did stop taking it. And yeah, I scheduled my therapy. I'm so pumped. It's for like September. Hold on. September 19th at like 10:30 in the morning, I think. So I will be updating you guys about that. That is going to be, I don't know if we're going to have a normal therapy session or if we're going to have the intake session that's needed for the EMDR therapy. But I will keep you guys updated on that because I do think that it's important to share my therapy experiences without going into detail on why I'm in therapy. But I do think that it will be helpful, at least to somebody who's maybe thinking about therapy or is curious about it. So I'll let you know. Katie said, what's your opinion on self-harm? I think self-harm is awful. I think it's something that is obviously harmful, but I get it. I understand why people do it. I am somebody who has done it. I have harmed myself with drugs. I have harmed myself with excessive amounts of alcohol. I have harmed myself with cutting. I actually have my most recent scars, actually this one here. That's from December of last year, right before I left Fayetteville. I got this to cover everything that was already there, which thankfully none of them have ever really been deep enough to leave actual like line scars. But this one, this little blip right here is from the situation with Daniel. I remember I was sitting on the bed in his spare room and I was crying on the phone to my friend and was kind of explaining to them everything that was going on. And I was just like, I can't do it anymore. Like I can't, and I don't know how I'm going to get out and I don't know what to do. And I feel trapped and I don't know what's going on and just feeling this like panic and dread and not knowing what to do and just started digging at my skin. And that's always been my thing is it's never been a blade. It's never been anything like that. But I've always like dug at my skin. And I hadn't done that in probably, so that was 2017. I had not done that in like 6 or 7 years. Like it was a long time. And I felt like it was something that I had beaten. I felt like it was something I had overcome. And in those moments of feeling so down, in those moments of feeling so worthless, and letting Daniel control my existence and letting him define who I should be and what I should be, I found myself self-harming again. I found myself drinking excessively. I found myself abusing my medications again. I found myself cutting. I found myself in such a deep hole and no way to figure out how to get out of it. I do think that that's something that if you are experiencing like thoughts of self-harm, if you are actively self-harming, I do think that's something that really does need to be discussed with a professional, with a therapist or someone at the National Crisis Line would be able to get you resources for your area. I do think that that is something like, I get it. I get it. I really do. And it's kind of confusing for people in my family because anytime that there's news about like a suicide or something like that, my mom is just like, that's so selfish. Like, how could you do that? Meanwhile, I have an uncle who took his own life years and years and years ago, like long before I was born. And my mom's like, oh, he was just on drugs. Like, that's all she ever says is he just must have been on drugs. And I'm like, she's seen me in crisis. So I'm not sure how she can just assume that my uncle was like automatically on drugs, that he wasn't facing something, that he wasn't hurting in some way. And I find it hard to believe, but I also understand the more old school mindset that people who did take their own life, who chose to die in that manner, that there must have been something wrong with them. They must have been crazy. They were on drugs, like whatever. But also, I've been in crisis and I've been suicidal and not been on drugs. So, I mean, I don't understand the old school mindset and how it translates so strangely in my mom's mind from my uncle who took his own life to her daughter who has tried multiple times. And so she sees what I'm going through as being okay, but she sees what her brother did as being not okay. I have many questions that I would like to ask someone from a different generation, from an older generation. I would love to ask to see their thoughts and find out their opinions on that situation, because I feel like for us now in this day and age, you know, the 20 somethings, the 30 somethings, the teens, we're kind of all on the same page as far as like, you know, self-harm is bad. Suicidal ideation is bad. You know, let's try to stop this. Let's, you know, find a reason for getting up in the morning, find ways to take care of ourselves and things like that. But I think people who are like 40 plus are kind of still in the old school mindset and maybe don't understand all the ins and outs of it and aren't as open to understanding. I know there are some people who are, but I know people like my mom are a little bit of like a gray area. And then people like my dad has actually openly talked about his suicidal ideations. So it's not like this was a foreign idea to me as a child. It wasn't like a foreign idea to my mom when she heard me say it. It was something that unfortunately has run in my family, and something that we're all just kind of confused as to how to address. We're all kind of confused as to how to handle it. And it is a very, very touchy subject. Even self-harm is a very, very touchy subject. And it is a very polarizing thing, I think, even now. But Suicide Prevention Week is coming up, and I am hoping to do some kind of something for that. I don't know what yet, but I would really like to be involved somehow. Let's see. I'm against it, obviously, but the PC culture that we live in, plus the gay rights movement, wasn't orientation specific. So the laws that were passed for gays are open season for all sexualities, except pedosexual is not. It's not the same. Because if it is, then there's a lot of chomos that would have to be released. Let's see. Jess, tell us about the movie that made you cry the most. Y'all, why? Oh my gosh. Okay, so the movie that has made me cry the most, and it makes no sense why, and it's a movie I refuse to watch, is actually Gladiator. That's the one thing that came to my mind, like right when I read that. So there's this part in Gladiator. The side of my nose is so itchy. There's an old wives' tale about the side of your nose itching, or the, like, whatever palm itches. I'm about to Google it. Because my grandma was really big into like old wives' tales, and she was, I don't know if she was superstitious, but she had some good stories. Hold on. So there's this part in Gladiator. I don't know, like I watched this when I was like a kid, so I don't actually remember. But there's a part in Gladiator where the guy like dies or something, and he's like in the fields of heaven, and he like sees his wife or his girlfriend or whatever. I don't know. Basically, he's dead, and it was supposed to represent heaven. And I saw it right after my grandma had passed away, and honestly, it just triggered something inside of my soul that I was just like, I can't with this. Like this hurts my feelings on such a deep level. I can't, I won't. Another one, Titanic. That old couple laying in bed, can't do it. Can't do it. Breaks my heart every time. Refuse. I reject 100% that movie. My mom is super fascinated with it, but I personally, no, I can't be bothered. Another one is any movie that has animals, because the animals, like I can't help them. I can't save them. If they're hurting, I can't do anything about it. If they're like Homeward Bound, no. Absolute no. No. What is the last movie that I watched that made me cry? I don't know. I don't watch movies that make me cry. I don't like to feel things. If I am watching something that makes me feel anything, I get the urge to turn it off because I really okay. So living in my experience with bipolar disorder, I have come to realize, acknowledge, and accept that I don't just feel things. I feel things very intensely, on either really, really happy or really, really not happy. There's no middle ground. There's no whoop, that's nice. It's intense. And so if I watch a comedy, it's like I'm the loudest person in the theater, except I really don't like going to the theater. I'm like the loudest person in the world watching this movie. And then if I am like watching something sad, I'm like bawling my eyes out. I'm like the most emotional person. So I don't like to watch things that make me cry unless I feel the need to ugly cry, in which case, Notebook. I've not seen The Notebook, but I won't watch The Notebook because they had Alzheimer's and my grandma had Alzheimer's, and I just, nope. No. Anything with old people, anything with animals, anything with people that I feel can't do for themselves. I was watching, it was like this Channing Tatum movie. I don't remember what it was called, but the beginning of the movie, it was about that girl that she had like memory loss or something from a car accident. It was supposed to be like a Nicholas Sparks kind of, I don't know. Anywho, the beginning of the movie, they like went to the theater, they seen a show or did a thing or whatever. They're like in Chicago, it's snowing outside or somewhere snowy. I couldn't tell you. They get in the car. She's feeling some type of way, starts to initiate adult activities, takes off her seatbelt. They get hit by a car and she like loses her memory and is all like jacked up from the wreck. And I'm just sitting here like, should have kept your seatbelt on. This whole movie would be over if you kept your seatbelt on. Always wear your seatbelt. Lesson learned. But I'm sure other people were crying and I'm just sitting here like, this is stupid. She should have just kept your seatbelt on. You could have waited 10 minutes. You could have pulled off to the side of the road. You could have gone to McDonald's parking lot. You behind a dumpster in a back alley somewhere, initiated those kinds of activity. But you chose on a snowy road to take off your seatbelt, knowing that nobody's tires work. And also, if there's anything falling from the sky, any kind of just fog, snow, rain, like literally anything, all of a sudden nobody knows how to drive. All the rules out the window. Doesn't matter. Couldn't do it. Honestly, can't do it. You live in Panama. I don't even know how to send letters to Panama, but we're going to find out. Jamie had to go. Bye, friend. Let's see. What's the best and worst part of your personality? Literally everything I just talked about. The fact that I feel everything on such a drastic level makes me a really unstable partner, and I'm very aware of that. I'm a lot to deal with. And I find that not even just in like romantic relationships, but with all my relationships, I'm a hot mess. Because I do feel everything like on complete, like all or nothing. What's it called? Catastrophizing. That. It's weird to hear you talk about your ex Daniel because that's my boyfriend's name. That's not his name though. That's not his name at all. I just made up that name because I didn't want to get sued, or have him find me or something like that. Let's see. Here's the superstition I was talking about. Meg, that's so sad. But honestly, I have like an irrational fear of like opening a door and seeing that, to the point where I was like having nightmares a few years ago, and I had to get stronger medication because of it. It was honestly just like destroying my life. I've never seen it, but that is something that I'm just like absolutely horrified of ever finding. And I'm really, really sorry that that's something that they experienced. That's a lot. That's really scary, actually. That's why I don't like Halloween, when a lot of the like, I love Halloween. Like, I love the season. I love all the spooks. I love all of the, like, the festivities and everything, but I don't like that there's so many decorations that depict things like that. It bothers me. Okay. So if your nasal bridge is itching, it means you're being nosy. You're being too nosy. If the left side of the nose itches, it means a man is to be expected. If the right side itches, it means you'll get a letter or a woman will visit. So the left side is itching. That means there's going to be a man visitor. I hope it's not Dylan, because he's not the kind of person that I want to hang out with. So anywho, my phone is for real about to die though. It's now 11:30 here. I have been doing another pointless live stream for an hour and a half. I have a very severe migraine and I'm about to go sleep it off. And I do have work tomorrow, but I am still planning to make a Friday video, a Friday stream. So send me your questions, your comments, your concerns. I would love to address them then. Also, if you private message me, please don't leave your actual address public so that people can find it. That is not a smart thing to do. But I definitely do want to like handwrite like birthday cards, anniversary cards, holiday cards, stuff like that. I think that'd be super dope. So if you do send me your mailing address, and like a special anniversary, special date, something like that, that is something that I would like to start doing, is just sending you guys like letters of encouragement or letters of, you know, congratulations. If I am so burpy. Congratulations if you guys like graduated or started a new job or got married or had a baby or something like that. I want to be able to like send you guys handwritten notes and things like that. I just feel like that's such a cool thing that I don't see anybody else doing, and I think would be super fun to do. So yeah, that is it. You guys are always more than welcome to contact me on social media. And if you don't have my contact, you can always ask me. I'm more than happy to give it to you. I just don't want to be that person who has their socials listed like, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. I'm going to be like Instagram famous. Follow me on Snapchat too. It's like lit. Because that's lame, and literally who does that? Except literally everyone. But yeah, I'm going to go. It was nice hanging out with you guys. Hopefully, you guys are not putting your self-worth into other people. Hopefully, you guys have been able to learn from this, that there are people out there like Dylan who sit there and think that because they were born into a certain social status or whatever, that they deserve certain things in life. And that's not the case. If you were born into a crappy situation like I was, you are more than capable of doing whatever you want with your life. If you want to go out there and own a McDonald's franchise, you be the best McDonald's franchise owner the world has ever seen. If you want to go out there and be a CEO, you be the best CEO the world has ever seen. If you want to go out there and drop a fire album, you do that. You drop the most fire album that the world has ever seen. Do whatever it is that is going to make you the happiest in life, as long as it's not hurting yourself or others. Put your value and your worth into your work. Put your value and your worth into, you know, the way your space looks, the cleanliness of your space, the tastiness of your food. Like, put how you view yourself into things that you do have control over. I put a lot of my self-worth into how my space looks, which is why my whole room smells like cinnamon rolls right now, because I wanted to open my door and just smell baked goods I can't eat. I wanted to just embrace the fall. So I, you know, put a lot of pride into how my space looks and feels and all of that. I put a lot of my worth into my work. I stress myself out a little bit too much about work, but I do find that I do get a lot more out of my work when I feel like I'm putting in my 100%. Whatever you do, put in your 100%. If somebody else doesn't think it's good enough, that's their problem. If, you know, the boss thinks it's not good enough because, oh, you missed one little kachika on something, that's their problem. Do your absolute best with whatever it is that you do. Doesn't matter what you do, just do your best, as long as it's not hurting yourself or others, and let it be something that brings you joy instead of stress. Like this, I know you guys have seen this. It's been in all my videos, but this is a wall of things that I have made. Some bracelets down here, like the memory wire bracelets, and then up there are some perler bead keychains, because my mom always told me I couldn't have perler beads because she didn't want me to use an iron. So guess what I did this year? I bought an iron and a ton of perler beads. So I made a bunch of perler bead keychains, and I keep them up here because I don't know how or where to sell them. And I really don't think anybody would buy them, but that was kind of the intention, is that I could make and sell keychains and bracelets and things that I enjoy making because it brings me joy. I even have like a little necklace, a little perler bead necklace that I made. I love this pattern. I actually wear these to work sometimes. I made a few of these and I wear them to work on occasion. And then I have other stuff here that just reminds me of how far my work has come. I've literally been making jewelry my whole life. And so it's nice to keep pieces around that I don't like, so that I can always have something to remind me of the things that I do like. What brings you the most joy in life? That's a really difficult question to answer, because I have been in a depressive slump for almost a year. It's really hard for me to figure out what does bring me joy, because not really anything does. I have things that I like to do. I have things that kind of hold my attention a little bit, but I wouldn't say anything brings me actual joy or actual happiness. It's something that I'm trying to work on while I go through therapy, because I do know that it's important to, like, you can acknowledge when you're in a depressive state, but it's important to not stay there. And like, I don't want to be in such a, like, in a depressive state for so long that I like start paying rent there. You know what I'm saying? I definitely don't want to do that. Do you have any pets? I do. I have a 6.5-year-old guinea pig named Ishka, which I did show in one of my other videos. It was the Why I Will Never Have Another Pet video, I believe. She is my best little friend. I love her so much. I gave her apples earlier. She was real excited. But anywho, I'm going to wrap this up. It's been entirely too long. My headache is steady getting worse. So I'm going to go. Thank you guys so much for watching and for being a part of the conversation. Private message, I believe, is still done on YouTube because I do have an inbox folder. But if you want to send me an email, I don't know why I just said it like that. That was all type of stupid. Loading. I'm at like 7% right now. So I will type it in here. That is my email address. Y'all are more than welcome to reach out to me on there. I don't check it the most. I do check stuff like Snapchat way more often. But I know that some people who have like longer messages that they want to send, email might be easier. But anywho, thank you guys again for watching, and I will see you guys on Friday. Bye.